Welcome to the Education News Show and the start of the 2015-16 school year. Coming up on the show today, we will talk to our Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Cruz, preview football season in action, and sample some new menu items from Food and Nutrition. All that and more coming up after this. I'm so pleased to have our Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Cruz, with us on the show today. Dr. Cruz, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Danielle.
Well, some really exciting news in the Peoria School District. Off to a great start to the new year, but I hear enrollment numbers are up. Tell me a little bit about that.
They are up, Danielle. You know, we always anxiously await for our students to return and to see really how many are coming back. And the news is very, very positive. We are up several hundred students, and that's no surprise as you drive around our district and you see all the new homes that are going in. Not just in the north end. While you do see several in the north, you also see several little sporadic new developments here in the central and south end of our district as well.
Well, that's really exciting. It means the word is out and that families certainly know that Peoria Unified is a great place to be. I want to talk to you just a little bit about some of those issues that are trending right now. Parents may be tuning into the media, maybe reading a lot about education right now. A couple of hot topics, first one being AZ Merit. Tell us a little bit about, well, what is AZ Merit and what is the impact, or what do parents need to know?
Well, you're probably more familiar with the AIMS test. The AIMS test was our state assessment for students that really tested our state standards and the knowledge of what students should be able to do and know. Those standards have now been replaced with new standards, our Arizona College and Career Ready standards. So when you have new standards, you need to build a new assessment to test those standards. So the AZ Merit is that new assessment. We did first administer that assessment in the spring, and we are anxiously awaiting those scores. They should be coming here the end of October, beginning of November, and while this is really quite a lag time to receive those scores, in the future we should be getting them much quicker, usually in May, early June.
And this will be a little bit of a change for parents. So they've been hearing a lot, this messaging maybe about how the scores are plummeting or the scores are going down. That's not really the case. Why is that?
Well, you know, I would say in relation to what? The scores are really a new measure. So we're really setting a new baseline for scores. And I would say there's nowhere to go but up, because when you have a new baseline, you're setting really a new ground level and saying, well, here we go, now we know where our baseline is, and we can go from there.
So it's not really that the scores have gone down, it's just that we've raised the standards. So when
Absolutely.
Obviously we raise those standards, we maybe expect a little bit of a change in how we're viewing those scores, but we know we're going to get some information out to parents on all of this.
Absolutely, Danielle, and we know that the standards themselves are more rigorous, so we expect that assessment to be more rigorous. So we know those scores are going to be coming. We are going to be communicating with our parents. We most recently gave a presentation to our Peoria United Parent Council on AZ Merit. We'll be reaching out through all our normal channels to parents and communicating with them as those scores come in.
We'll look forward to sharing some of that information. Couple other topics that I want to get to, a little bit more finance related. There's two topics in particular that we've been reading an awful lot about in the media. One is this inflationary funding lawsuit. What does this mean for the Peoria Unified School District?
Well, as you've probably been hearing for many, many years, we've been expecting a settlement in the inflationary lawsuit, and people have been working on that. They've been under a gag order and haven't been able to speak about that, and you've probably most recently heard that they've reached an impasse. So they've come out publicly and said we can't reach an agreement. So we look forward to some perhaps different pieces coming out, and you've heard that come out of the governor's office, you've heard that come out of the legislature, you've heard most recently our superintendent of public instruction come out and say we have some ideas to fund public education. So all of those are positive things.
So we'll remain hopeful and wait to see the results of that lawsuit. Also, we may be hearing a lot about the state land trust and this new proposal that's coming from the governor's office related to state land funds. What is that and what does that mean?
State Land Trust has been set aside. It was set aside many, many years ago when Arizona became a state, and it was set aside for education. It is set aside to fund education. So Governor Ducey has said there's a lot of money in this fund, and it's somewhat like your retirement funds. And you know, instead of maybe waiting for retirement to use some of those funds, maybe let's take some of those funds and let's use them now because we truly need them now. So we look forward to hearing more about that proposal from the governor and see what all of that is about.
Certainly still in its infancy, something that would have to be a ballot initiative, possibly in 2016, maybe sooner. We're waiting to see on that, as I understand.
There's a lot of moving pieces with that, so we are anxiously awaiting more communication.
And I know we'll keep an eye on that. Well, also finance related is this concept of a maintenance and operations override, and it is a piece of how the Peoria Unified School District is funded. I know that as school district employees, we certainly need to be very factual in communicating related to an override. So factually speaking, can you tell me a little bit about what is an override?
Absolutely. You know, within the law, we have to stay within our budget limits. Occasionally, we can go out and ask our voters to say, can we exceed our budget by a certain amount? We are allowed by law to ask our voters to exceed our budget by 15%. We are asking our voters to exceed our budget by 13%. We are currently on a 10% override, and we are asking them to increase that to a 13% override.
So that would be a tax increase. What are the things that the current override funds at that 10%?
All of the pieces that will fund, Danielle, will be assistant principals, gifted education, instructional coaches, athletics and extracurricular activities, arts education, reading programs, school nurses, and maintains existing class sizes. And the additional 3% would go to fund all-day kindergarten and compensation for staff.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Cruz, for shedding some light on that. Certainly, the maintenance and operations override can be a little bit complex, and it's part of this bigger picture of school finance, which is even more confusing at times. We've got a great video that shows a little bit more about how school finance works. Let's take a look.
If you're anything like me, you probably find school finance to be a pretty complicated topic. Most of the confusion is because school finance is so different from our personal finances. As an individual, I go to work and collect a paycheck. I deposit that paycheck at a bank and then use those funds to pay my expenses like a mortgage, car payment, utilities, groceries, and more. School finance is much more complicated, but once we begin to understand it, we'll have a better grasp of how our tax dollars will help meet the educational needs of our students. Schools receive their funding from two main sources: local property owners and the state of Arizona, and the federal government. Local and state funding provide about 90%, and around 10% comes from the federal government. But here's where it starts to get complicated. Every dollar that comes into our schools has rules attached to it that mandate how it can be spent. Federal funds are very specific and fund things like special education and to assist students that are living in poverty, commonly referred to as Title I funds. Funds from the state are split into two pots: maintenance and operations and capital, with 99% in the maintenance and operations pot and 1% in capital. The maintenance and operations funds pay for daily operations of our schools, like salaries, transportation, utilities, and general supplies like paper. Capital funds pay for durable items that are owned or used by the school for many years, like buildings, furniture, buses, textbooks, and technology. If the money in either of the pots is not enough to meet the needs of our students, the district can ask the local community to pass an override or a bond, a tax on property. Overrides and bonds are different, and the funds they generate add to the different pots. Bonds are for capital expenses and pay for maintenance and repair of the school buildings, buses, and technology. Our community passed a bond in 2012 to pay for these items. Overrides are for the maintenance and operations pot. A maintenance and operations override is good for 7 years, and our community voted for our first override in 1996 and has voted to renew it 3 additional times. As budgets are shrinking, our community has helped to make up the difference in order to meet the many needs of our students. Funds from the override have supported assistant principals, nurses, PE, arts education, reading programs, gifted education, athletics, and extracurricular activities, while also maintaining class sizes. Does school finance make more sense now? I hope so, but if you still have questions or want more information, you can find it on our district website or by calling us.
Cheering from the sidelines and dazzling the crowd on the field at halftime, everyone loves a good marching band. Let's check out Centennial High School under the direction of Dan Stone. pleasure to have a fabulous student from Skyview Elementary joining me today, Kiki Norberg. Thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me a little bit about what it's like to go to school at Skyview Elementary.
It's actually a really great school. We're actually doing something new called the 7 Habits, and it's basically letting the students build up character and showing us what it is to be proactive and all of that.
That's very neat. What a cool thing you get to do. Well, I understand, Kiki, you're also very involved in the media productions and the morning announcements at Skyview Elementary. Tell me a little bit about that experience.
Well, it's actually really great. We have a big set. We're actually on YouTube and we have a bunch of hits.
Wow.
And it's actually pretty cool because I have my own segment.
Okay, tell me about that.
Teacher Feature. Because I can only record on Fridays because I have volleyball the other days. So I basically interview a teacher, ask a little bit about them, and yeah, we just interview them.
Very cool. I understand we're going to see one of your segments here later in the show, so that's very exciting. Very exciting. And we're going to have you as part of our food and nutrition segment here coming up on the Education News Show. So we're very excited about that. Before we get to it, why don't you tell us what's coming up next on the show?
Well, fall weather is upon us, and that means football season. Let's check out the action from the gridiron and see how our high schools have started their season.
Well, I'm so excited to have our food and nutrition coordinator, Kylie, here with me today for an exciting segment. And of course, Kiki from Skyview has joined us again. We are talking about all things that are on the school lunch menu this year. We've got some new menu items and some updates from our food and nutrition department. So Kylie, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about kind of the nutritional standards. I know that as a school district for all of our elementary and high schools, we do have some standards that we need to adhere to for what kids have during the school day.
Exactly. So we're part of the National School Lunch Program where we're required to serve a certain amount of nutrients for all students. And it's available for anyone that comes into our cafeteria as well. So this year we're really excited because we've tried to create new menu options that include all of them and that also are exciting for our kids to try. The standards have to be that it has to be a veggie, a fruit, a whole grain, a milk, and a protein.
So it's really a balanced meal what they're having every time they come through the school lunch line.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. That's exciting. So tell me a little bit. We have some of our new items here, and I know we're going to get to cooking one of them here in just a second, but tell me a little bit about some of the new items we have here in front of us.
Sure. So we have a taco salad right here, as you can see, and it is something that we wanted to incorporate into the elementary schools. We have it in our high schools, and so it's a taco meat with some cheese, and then the lettuce, the tomato. There's going to be sour cream, there's salsa, there's lots of other options that are on the fruit and veggie bar for that day.
So they can really add to this. They start with the basic, but they go through that fruit and veggie bar and they can make it their own.
Exactly. So we kind of wanted it to encourage the kids to make their own choices, but provide them the healthy options as well. So it's actually like a whole wheat tortilla that's a shell. So they're baked, they're not fried, So it's something that they get their grain, they get their meat, and then they get to pick their own veggies as well.
They may not think they're having something healthy, but they really are having something healthy.
Try to sneak it in.
That's great. That's great. And Kiki, have you had a couple of these things when you've gone through the school lunch menu line this year?
Yes.
Yes. Delicious?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Well, I know we are going to make one of the new items that I believe is available at the elementary school.
Yes.
Tell us what we're going to make.
We're going to be making the Mediterranean wrap. So something new that we tried this year, kind of based on our veggie wrap, but we have a lot of vegetarian students, so we wanted to come up with another option that would provide more of a variety for them, but also something that would be new for all students to try.
That's great. And now, Kiki, you're going to help us out with this?
Yes.
Very good. So the first step in order for us to make something, of course, cleanliness is of top priority, so we got to get you in your gloves there. So as she's putting those gloves on, Kylie, tell me a little bit about this fruit and veggie bar, and is it something that's available every day?
It is. It's something available to all students every day, and it's included in every meal. So it's not something we're really excited about, is that we try to put new options out, so something that's in season. So last week, a lot of our students had the privilege to try heirloom tomatoes. They were local grown, they're in Arizona, so we were really excited. So I actually found some in the kitchen, and I was like, I'm stealing these.
Very good. We're glad that you were able to bring them to us. Those are those heirloom tomatoes.
The heirloom tomatoes. And then we actually had the suckle pears that came out, and we're hoping to put them on the menu again.
Delicious.
Yes, and they were super sweet. So a lot of kids were, you know, they're green, you're not really sure if you're gonna try it, but all the kids that tried it were like, this is so good.
And they're fun size for kids too.
Exactly.
Perfect size for those little hands. Okay, so talk us through now, what's our first step in putting together this Mediterranean veggie wrap?
So you have your whole wheat tortilla. We're gonna put on a half a packet of cream cheese. So if you want to squeeze that out and put that onto it, so we've, it's ready to go.
So she's going to squeeze out half of that packet.
Yeah.
Use those muscles there, Kiki. There you go. There you go.
Awesome.
And then next we need to spread it around on that tortilla so it's nice and even.
Perfect. Good job.
What's your favorite school lunch menu item, you think?
My favorite school lunch menu would have to be the mac and cheese.
The mac and cheese. We'll have to sample that maybe on an upcoming segment. I'm sure that's a kid favorite. But many people who, you know, were in school quite some time ago are used to things like maybe a Diet Coke or some fried food, maybe some mystery food or some French fries. That's not what you're going to find in cafeterias today, but what you are going to find really are some fresh options.
Exactly. That's the goal, is to provide fresh options of more of a variety for our students. And next we're going to put the cheese on, so you're going to layer the 4 slices. So this is our Swiss cheese that we put on.
Ooh, looks delish. She's going to layer 4 different items. Of course, every kid loves cheese, right?
Yes, exactly. And going back to the nutritionals, we don't have any fryers in our elementary school. So if we have potatoes on a menu, it's purely to provide those nutritional values, and they're baked.
Very good.
We only have 1 fry a day at a high school, so it's going to be, they're going to get fried French fries once a week.
Okay.
So they still get a privilege
still
of
get
that,
them,
but
not every day. Okay, we've got our
Awesome.
cheese on there. What's our next step?
we're going to put on a couple slices of tomatoes.
Okay, so you'll
Couple
grab
slices?
Yeah, help yourself. Be about 2 or 3, 4. Yeah. So depends on the size, so we have it in our nutrition values, but
that is one delicious
Perfect.
looking wrap coming together.
job.
And our next step.
We're going to be putting on our cucumber. Today we have a zucchini because we got that in from Shamrock. So we will be substituting it with a zucchini, but it tastes just as good, in my
Just as
opinion.
delicious. And of course, we have a variety of things that come in depending on what's in season. So you may see some different items on that fruit and veggie bar. And then of course some substitutes here, but always a delicious substitute.
Yes, they never let us down.
That's great.
We're also going to put on a half a cup of spinach.
Okay.
So you can get a big
spinach.
scoop. And the tricky part about spinach is it's kind of fluffy. So you can kind of pack it in a little bit.
There you go.
Good job. That's okay.
Lots of nutritional value in that
Perfect.
spinach. Looks delish.
Awesome job.
Okay. And final step,
We're going to be putting on our cheese.
more
So
cheese.
More cheese.
My kind of wrap.
Exactly. So the cheese is the protein in this wrap. So
Okay.
the kids still get the 2 ounces of meat equivalent.
Okay.
So that's how they get it, so that they still stay nice and full in their classes. So
Some fabulous cooking skills you have there, Kiki. You're a natural.
good job. All right, the tricky part is the wrap.
Oh,
So
we're gonna roll it up.
Okay.
you're gonna flip it over
I
here.
believe you're supposed to
Good
put it
job.
a little bit under.
Good job.
Go, great.
And we're gonna tuck this and keep it kind of tight. Good job.
There we
And
go.
you're gonna tuck your sides like you're wrapping
We
a
got
gift.
we
Good
got
job.
a really full wrap
You're
here.
gonna put it in the middle.
There we go.
Good job.
And then you
And do
gotta
this
And
side.
while she is
Perfect.
finishing up, I'll just note we've got our finished product over
Mm-hmm.
here. So actually that's something that the students may pick up when they go through the lunch line, one of these package meals, so it's easy for them to kind of grab and go
Yep.
as they come through the line. Oh, that looks delicious,
Good
Kiki.
job.
And we'll have Kylie cut that for us so we can see
Get 'em really
just
close.
how that is going to look when that finished product is done. I think while she's doing that, I've been eyeing this salad, of course,
Yes.
all morning long, so I'm gonna dig in. I'm gonna take a bite of this salad. We've got some delicious eggs. Looks like a Cobb salad, would you call this?
Yeah, well, I think that one's our chef
Our
salad.
chef
But we
salad,
do
okay.
have a Cobb salad,
We do
so.
have a Cobb salad, probably pretty similar, so I'm just gonna take
Yep.
a bite of that there.
All right,
It's good?
It's good.
perfect.
It's delish.
Yep. And then
Look at
here's
that.
your beautiful wrap.
There's
Great
your
job.
wrap. What do you think? You wanna take a bite?
Yes, I'm actually gonna try my little skills up.
Good?
Good.
Mm. Well, we don't
Good.
want her to have to talk with her mouth open there, but that looks absolutely delicious. Thank you so much, Kylie, for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And
This
of
was
course,
great.
Kiki, you are a fabulous co-host, and now probably not as hungry of a co-host, so even better, right? Thank you so
Perfect.
much
Thank
again.
you.
The Peoria Education Foundation helps provide grants and scholarships for teachers and students in the Peoria Unified School District. Last year, teachers received $28,000 in grants, and students were awarded $15,000 to assist them in their future college endeavors. The foundation is a nonprofit organization, and all donations are tax deductible. To learn more about how the foundation contributes to our community and enhances the educational experience for students and teachers, visit peoriaedfoundation.org. That's all for this edition of the Education News Show. Before we close, I'll leave you with that teacher feature from our very own Kiki from Skyview Elementary.
Hi, I'm Kiki, and with me today is Mrs. Mon, one of our first grade teachers. Today is her day on Teacher Feature. Hello, Mrs. Mon, and thank you for joining me.
Hi, Kiki.
So last year, you participated on So True, So False. And you told us that you went on a hot air balloon ride.
I sure did.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
It was really fun. It was a complete surprise, actually. My husband woke me up really early one morning and told me to get in the car, and next thing I knew, we were on a hot air balloon ride.
Well, that is very romantic. Was it scary?
It was kind of scary taking off and landing, a little bit bumpy, but while we were up in the air, it was beautiful and very peaceful. I loved it.
I'm taking it's not one of your hobbies.
Oh no, definitely not.
So then what are your hobbies?
I really enjoy exercising, cooking, and I love reading.
Any favorite books?
A couple summers ago, I read the Harry Potter series, and I loved those.
I'm not a big fan of the Harry Potter series books.
Yeah, that's okay. I didn't think I would be either, but once I read them, I really loved it.
Well, guess what time it is?
What time is it, Kiki?
It is wacky question time.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, so I won't make you sing or anything,
Yes, please don't make me sing.
but here it comes. If you could be any type of pizza, which one would it be?
I would be probably just plain cheese pizza, because that's probably my favorite. And it doesn't get too fancy, but everyone likes it.
True, that is a great response.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps up for our third question. Thank you, Mrs. Mon, for joining me again. I will see you next week for another teacher feature. Have a wonderful day.